Japan's Prime Minister just announced that he will not seek re-election, which means that Japan will have a new Prime Minister starting this fall. And although his approval ratings already hinted at a departure, stepping down may actually give the Prime Minister more power. So in this video, we'll talk about why the Prime Minister decided to quit, the 4 turning points in his political career, and why stepping down may give him more power. But first, let's briefly review the terms of a Prime Minister. Similar to other parliamentary countries, Japan does not have an official term limit. Therefore, a Japanese Prime Minister can run as long as his or her party wins the majority in parliament. However, given the LDP's dominance, the LDP has an inter-party rule that the party president may run up to 3 terms of 3 years. This means that a president may run up to 9 years, meaning that a Prime Minister may also run up to 9 years. Because the term limit is a party rule, this limit can always be revised. For example, the term rules were changed to 3 terms when Abe was in power, which made him the longest ruling Prime Minister in Japanese history. Current Prime Minister Kishida will finish his first term in September, meaning that he has 2 more terms to seek re-election. Although he shows signs of seeking re-election, on August 14, 2024, Kishida announced that he would be stepping down once his current term is done. During his press conference, he mentioned that the best way to show that the LDP will change is for me to withdraw. He mentioned the Unification Church and the LDP fundraising money scandal as reasons for stepping down, and when we look at his approval ratings over the past 3 years, he isn't wrong. Kishida's first year was great. He gave 100,000 yen per citizen during 2021 for COVID relief, and he strongly supported Ukraine from the beginning of the war. The state funeral for Shinzo Abe is the first turning point. While many citizens were supportive of a state funeral, revelations of Abe's ties with the Unification Church caused division. For those who are unaware, the Unification Church is a cult that demands high amounts of donations through fear or coercion. Although Prime Minister Kishida did not have ties, a lot of LDP politicians were somewhat connected with the Unification Church. This was the first blow to the LDP's reputation as a trustworthy party. Kishida also decides to increase Japan's defense budget from 1% to 2%, which is a significant transition in Japan's defense policy. Since 1976, the Japanese government agreed that military budget should be capped at 1% of its GDP. In order to support this drastic change, the government announced that additional taxes were necessary because it is the citizens' responsibility. This wording was later changed to our responsibility. This is one of the first examples of Kishida raising taxes. In response to the tax proposals, netizens will eventually give Kishida the nickname Zōzei Megane, or tax increasing glasses. While the Prime Minister's ratings were on a decreasing trend from July 2022 to December 2022, Kishida's approval ratings improved from January to May 2023. The fact that masks became optional, the Bank of Japan got a new, competent president, improved Japan-Korea relations, and a successful Hiroshima G7 summit all contributed to improving Kishida's image. The Prime Minister even made it to the Times 100, the most influential people of 2023. Unfortunately, Kishida killed his own momentum. In late May, it was revealed that his son used the Prime Minister's office for a family party. Kishida selected his son to be his personal secretary, which was already criticized when this was decided in October 2022. With this revelation, Kishida removed his son from this position. Following his son, Kishida's lackluster childcare policy and inflation chipped away at his popularity. His childcare policy hinted at additional taxes, and the nickname Zōzei Megane starts to appear online. In hopes to change his image, Kishida announced in October 2023 that the government will be returning tax gains, but the final blow came in November 2023. Prosecutors found out that the LDP failed to report over 670 million yen as income gained from fundraising parties. Only a few politicians with over 50 million yen were prosecuted, but the politicians who swindled 20 to 30 million yen were not prosecuted. Although efforts were made to tackle this problem by revising the fundraising law and dissolving political factions, none addressed the core concern of citizens: holding those who violated the law accountable. To make matters worse, on July 9, 2024, the Tokyo District Public Prosecutor's Office decided that the evidence was not sufficient to prosecute the faction leaders, including Prime Minister Kishida, Nikai, and Motegi. Therefore, it shouldn't be a surprise that Kishida's approval ratings is the lowest since the LDP regained power in 2012. To be fair, most of these problems were out of his control. Kishida wasn't involved with the Unification Church, and although his faction has some slush funds, they were nothing compared to those of other factions. and Kishida could probably use this to his advantage. Although the public clearly attached these two problems to Kishida, the Prime Minister secured the LDP's defense budget dream, strengthened military relations with several allies, selected a competent BOJ president, and pulled off a historic Hiroshima G7 summit. By not entering the presidential election, he can end his career without an electoral defeat and potentially become a future kingmaker within the LDP. And although Kishida officially dissolved political factions, many LDP members still operate within these friend groups, so check out this video to see who may become the next Prime Minister of Japan. And if you enjoyed the video, please like the video as it helps the channel reach a greater audience.